Okay, hi everybody. We're live. For those watching live on Twitch, hello, and thank you for joining us. For those watching on YouTube or listening later on the podcast, welcome back if you've listened to us before. This is Season 2, Episode 2 of Screen Heroes, Episode 28-ish, I think, of the overall series. I am Derek, one of your three regular hosts. And I have with me my other two regular hosts, Ryan.
Hello.
And Ray.
Hi.
And our returning common guest.
I'm like the double stuff in a double stuff Oreo. I'm the filler.
And does the filler have a name?
Yeah, it's Ian. Hi.
All right, so that's who you have with you this evening. And we are going to be talking about Suicide Squad. This is what you need to know for Suicide Squad,
right?
With the movie coming up in August. Are you guys excited?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So I've heard that, according to social media and things like that, this is the most buzzed about movie of 2016.
The trailer was actually watched more than the Batman vs. Superman trailer when it first came out in San Diego Comic-Con last year, 2 years ago, whenever it was.
And I blame completely the soundtrack going into the movie. It was more fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Both times. They had the Bohemian Rhapsody, then they did the Leslie Gore song into, I believe it was the old Misfit song. So
they had Ballroom Blitz in this new trailer, so they have good choice in music.
Whereas the Batman vs. Superman was just a bunch of boom.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not as fun. While it pumps you up and gets you excited for the movie, it's not the same way. So Suicide Squad has taken a page out of Guardians.
Yeah.
Realizing that they have something kind of offbeat and advertising it as such instead of straying from it.
Definitely. The competition with movies these days is so huge. It just surprised me. I mean, between Deadpool, BVS, Civil War, Independence Day, Rogue One, X-Men. I mean, it's just so many movies.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I mean, I don't expect that to get the kind of buzz Civil War was going to get.
That's true, yeah.
You know what I mean? But
there's a pretty hardcore fan base for Doctor Strange out there.
You're right.
I'm very much looking forward to that. I just meant that how did Suicide Squad compete with and then beat interest-wise these other films prior to their release? It's just
because you have someone in glittery booty shorts.
I'm sure that doesn't hurt. Sex does sell.
Yep.
So for those who don't know what the Suicide Squad is, I'm going to give just a really brief overview, and everybody jump in when you have things to say about it.
Sure.
Suicide Squad is owned by DC Comics, so it's a DC thing in the DC universe. It debuted in 1959 originally in The Brave and the Bold, number 25, but got completely revamped in 1987 in Legends number 3, and that's kind of what we've stuck with the roster changing every so often.
Yeah.
In the comic books, there's really been 5 major casts or rosters, with the most recent being in 2014, with Harley Quinn finally being introduced into that group. I mean, we've got some of the lists in front of us here. Are there any characters that kind of stick out to you as being surprises or very interesting that they were in the group?
I had no idea that Poison Ivy was ever in it, and
it seems kind of beneath her.
Like she shows up in the actual Justice League at times.
Yeah, I think she's way more powerful than the Suicide Squad.
Yeah. So I don't know what the story was about that, but
yeah, she was actually in the modern revamp. So in that 1987 Volume 1. So it was pretty early on in that incarnation.
They needed a bigger name to get people to read it, probably.
Yeah.
It's a good point. I mean, because they also have Vixen and Oracle in there, which are 2 good guys, and this is Oracle Barbara Gordon Oracle, previously Batgirl Oracle. Those are pretty big names to put in with the mix. So I thought that was pretty interesting myself.
There are some staples of the Suicide Squad that are always on the team, or they have some power like it and are missing from the movie. So that's a little interesting to me that they decided to overlook a few.
Anybody in particular that's...
Well, I know he's not very popular, but he was in the TV show version. Bronze Tiger is often on the Suicide Squad, and he's not in the movie. Now, I don't know really why that is. I mean, maybe you can't have more than 2 minorities in a room.
He was so well received on Arrow that they didn't even kill him on the show. They killed him in one of the comic books in between the seasons of the show. So you never know that he's dead if you only watch the show.
I had no clue.
Yeah.
I didn't.
He hasn't really been used in the comic books. He has not been in the last 2 versions of the Suicide Squad.
That's true.
That might have something to do with it. Then again, it might not because some of the characters in the movie are also not in the most recent version of the Suicide Squad either.
So why don't we run through like each character featured in the movie version, and we can kind of talk about their experience either in previous Suicide Squads or where we know them from if we don't really know them.
Sure. Do you want to get us started then?
Yeah. So you have written down here first and foremost Amanda Waller. And she is just a bureaucratic sociopath badass in the comics and, as of now, TV and film. She's appeared quite a few times over the last 20 years. She was in the Batman animated series and Superman.
Justice League.
She was in Justice League. She was in Young Justice. She's either been associated with Cadmus or now Argus.
She was in the Arrow Suicide Squad also, and she was actually killed off in the newest season of
Because
Arrow
of Viola
Suicide
Davis,
Squad.
Which is a little frustrating. No, don't get me wrong.
But she was also, Angela Bassett played her in the Green Lantern movie.
Was that her?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think Viola Davis is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love her.
I was super excited about that casting decision. Still kind of sad that they killed off the group in the CW.
Yeah.
Especially with them being okay with having 2 Flashes.
Really well received too. A lot of people liked them.
Well, in 2014 or 15 or something like that, I think it was 14, the gentleman who plays John Diggle was saying that it was so popular, the episode got such high ratings that they were thinking about that being their first spin-off.
Yeah, which would have been awesome.
The Flash.
Fascinating. That might have been tough to do on TV, but that would have been really cool.
Yeah, it would have.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be any more ambitious than Legends of Tomorrow.
Right.
But maybe a little more
more
grounded. Yeah, well, that's definitely true.
Nice,
it would have been adult, but it would have been the first season of Arrow. There would be a lot of off-screen deaths kind of thing because the movie is rated PG-13, so it's not like we're gonna just see violence and gore and heads.
They said it's a hard pushing PG-13.
Yeah,
right.
They had to kind of fight a bit maybe for that rating.
Yeah,
it sounded like. David Ayer, the director, he wanted it to be PG-13 because he wants more people to be able to see it. Obviously,
fair.
That's why Deadpool's financial gains were such a big surprise because it was rated R. But yeah, I've heard that they might have had to push a little bit to get that to happen.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that just means that we're gonna see a director's cut. Most
likely. I mean, maybe.
Hopefully, yeah.
It depends. It depends how well the ultimate cut of BVS is eventually received. It's only been out in digital HD. The Blu-ray's not even out of it yet as we're recording this. So far, it's been received well critically, but we'll have to see how that goes.
So it wouldn't surprise me if how Marvel has in their first couple phases they had the little short on each DVD that was showing Thor's hammer and Coulson at the gas station on the way to Thor's hammer It wouldn't surprise me that if DC's version of that was ultimate cuts on their Blu-rays at this point because BVS has been really popular. Their ultimate cut has it getting very good reviews compared to the actual theatrical release, and
that might be a little tough though because I mean the ultimate cut of BVS is a half an hour. I don't know if all directors want to produce that much extra footage.
Well, I don't think they'll require that, but I mean they might have a director's cut or whatever you want to call it that has a little bit different editing and things.
I'm all for that.
Yeah,
that'd be
fantastic. Scripts start out being incredibly extensive, knowing that they're going to get stripped down to bare bones because of timing, because of editing. So it's not like they won't have the content if they want to film it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true.
Now let's move on. Rick Flag's next.
I know nothing about Rick Flag.
I know he's an army guy.
Yeah, I've never been interested in that character. And everyone who listens knows I'm a big DC guy. But he's just generic soldier number 5.
He doesn't have any superpowers or anything like that, right?
No.
That's what
Rick Flag is pretty much always, all 3 versions of him, which is Senior, Junior, the third, has been the leader of the Task Force X or Suicide Squad, whichever you want to call it. And
he's Amanda's right hand.
He's the leader on the mission.
He goes in the field.
Right. So he's the one in the trailer that's like, if you attempt to vex me.
Yes.
Probably. Yeah.
That is him.
That's him.
That's Joel Kinnaman.
Yeah.
So.
And he's kind of a lesser known actor than Viola Davis. I mean, she's got a pretty strong portfolio. But...
The Rick Flag role was offered to Tom Hardy.
Right.
And he had to turn it down because they had to do a lot of reshoots for The Revenant.
Mm-hmm.
And then Joel Edgerton was approached, and
Jake Gyllenhaal was one.
Yeah.
The
was he?
guy.
Yeah.
He was rumored. I don't know how serious.
No. He was approached. He turned it down. Ryan Gosling was originally approached for Joker.
Ooh.
For the Joker?
For the Joker, but he turned it down.
Good.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
I think Ryan Gosling should
Jared Leto definitely.
I think he should be in a superhero film. I don't think that.
Sure, that's not the right role.
No.
He could be the Riddler, maybe.
I need someone a little more clean cut for the Riddler.
Well, Ryan Gosling's very clean cut. Anyway, we're not fan casting.
We're not going down that road. All right.
So Rick Flag is the leader of their team. Pretty much. I don't know if he's got his hand on the button for the chips in their head or not.
I always think Waller did.
He does. In some incarnations, he does.
Okay.
It depends on the mission sometimes, and it depends on who's on the team. We didn't even
talk about that, why they're called the Suicide Squad.
Well, we can go over the synopsis for the film then. We can kind of backtrack a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
So this is the official synopsis from IMDb. It says a secret government agency run by Amanda Waller named Argus creates a task force comprising supervillains, the Suicide Squad. They are assigned to execute dangerous tasks in exchange for shorter prison sentences. Basically, the idea is they're going on these suicide missions, these suicide runs. They're not really expected to survive. If the mission goes sideways, as the trailer says, they're going to be thrown under the bus. Mm-hmm. But, if they perform enough missions and do it well enough, maybe they'll get, time off for good behavior. But, you want to talk about the chip?
So, the actual prisoners from Belle Rev, they are implanted with chips that will immediately blow their heads off if they step out of line. Now, from what I've gathered, those prisoners are Deadshot, Harley, Captain Boomerang, Diablo, Killer Croc, and Slipknot.
Mm-hmm.
That's
certainly what it seems like, yeah.
And some of those were shown in the trailer, getting a little chip injection into them. Mm-hmm. So, and some of them have been shown into jail cells, so that makes it obvious. Yeah. But beyond that, it's hard to say.
So it's very interesting because if they try to run off, they'll get their heads blown off. It's, they talk a little bit about it in the trailer that if you go off mission, even if you annoy Rick Flag, that's it.
It's pretty much set up so where this mission is a no-win mission no matter what. You get it done and you survive, good for you, but we're not going to reward you right away.
Yeah.
And it just survive.
Because this seems to be their first mission together, because they're getting the chips implanted. Yeah. This is the first kind of...
Yeah, this is the test run. As you can see in the trailer, Amanda Waller's still trying to pitch this as an idea.
Yeah.
It hasn't really been an accepted thing yet, so this is definitely the beginnings of that group.
Yeah.
And as we said, the roster's changed a lot over time, so it's kind of like, the Justice League or the Avengers where characters can step into roles when there are holes that need to be filled. And so this cast being a roster of characters that are not meant to survive, there's a little more turnover. Mm-hmm.
But that is also really good because there's a lot of times where you want to switch up the casting. Say the Avengers, both...
We're getting some funny stuff in chat. I'm sorry.
Yeah?
So we've got Pugbite is saying that they're guessing one person gets their head blown off. Thoughts on who? And Dogsthorpe says rope guy, dead knot. To which Pugbite replied, rope guy.
Yep. He's not going to be a very popular character.
That is a consensus of most of us.
Do you mean Slipknot?
Yeah.
Like
the band.
Adam Beach, I like him in everything that I've seen him in. However, the thing that I remember him the most when I sat down and I compared him now and then, I remember him from Joe Dirt.
I remember, yep.
That is not how you should remember an actor.
You're also admitting to have seen Joe Dirt.
I've seen Joe Dirt.
Something that I personally won't admit to.
I like Joe Dirt.
Anyway, I think all of us are going going to agree that if somebody bites it within the first 10 minutes,
it's
probably him.
Slipknot.
And he's had all of 5 seconds in the trailer.
Yeah.
No.
He's even in the back in the posters.
Yeah,
like,
he's not.
That's never a good sign.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's a fair point. And of all the main cast members, you've got some bigger names on the list. You've got some more complex characters on the list.
Right.
I've never heard of Slipknot.
Well, if you don't get a Funko Pop, they really don't care about you.
That's a really good gauge, I think, in
Thank
2016 is how many.
If you're not a pop, no one cares.
Kind of. Yeah, and the more versions, the better, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure Batman will survive the movie because he has 18 million incarnations. So, okay, so we'll move on down the list. We have Deadshot's next.
Do you want to talk about Deadshot?
I love Will Smith. Everybody who listens or knows me knows I love Will Smith.
Everybody who knows and listens knows you love 3 things in this order: Star Trek, DC, Will Smith.
No, Will Smith's above DC.
Yeah, I was going to say the order is debatable.
Oh, wow.
No, Will Smith's above DC. Star Trek is still number 1.
I'm for it. So.
Oh, that's pretty high.
If we're breaking down the individual
series
of Star Trek.
Well, wait, are we including food on this list?
Oh, wow.
There's cheesesteaks and...
Wow.
Oh, no.
Anyway, so Will Smith is playing Deadshot, which was kind of a little bittersweet for me because I loved the guy who played him on the Arrow.
Michael Rowe.
Michael Rowe, thank you. Yeah. I thought he was awesome. Just a really cool character, a really great version of Deadshot.
Yeah, you could sympathize or empathize with him. He was a very gray character. He was like more like the Punisher than he was
really good development too. Like he wasn't oversaturated. You don't want to see the same villain all the time in an episodic show, but at the exact same time, he wasn't ignored. He wasn't just pushed to the side. They really developed him and
Diggle had a huge,
and that was good. It was really good.
Yeah, you could understand his storyline with his daughter and like all these things that happened.
He wasn't just a bad guy.
No,
because that gets boring. He was a much more interesting character,
basically. But I mean, he could do good or bad things for it. So, but yeah, I really liked him too. And when Will Smith was cast, I was then, and I'm still not convinced that he's gonna. I'm sure he's going to be very popular, but I'm not sure that he's going to be great as Deadshot specifically.
I'm a little nervous that he's basically going to be Mike Lowry from Bad Boys, but with better tech.
Yeah.
Is kind of how I see that character shaping up.
And that's the way the trailers all portray it also. Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm not saying that'll be bad. Like I said, I love Will Smith in everything I've ever seen him in. I have not seen After Earth, but I've loved him in everything else that I've seen him in.
Truth be told, I'm thinking he's a damn good actor, and he needs to be in the comic book films, in my opinion, but I can't think of one hero where his style of acting worked out.
Hancock was pretty good.
Hancock was fantastic.
That was good.
It was really good. So was I Am Legend.
Mm-hmm.
But
I always hoped that he'd get a sequel for Hancock.
It was in development hell.
I know, and he ended up doing a bunch of other projects.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's got tons of other stuff lined up, and that's great. If he's in movies, I'm not going to complain.
Right.
I just feel like this is probably the closest we're going to see to a perfect role for Will Smith in a superhero world.
I'm
excited.
excited.
We know, the comic book one that's already set in stone. And if you guys can come up with a better one, cool. But right now, I think Deadshot is a good bet.
I agree.
For him.
I think it'll be good. I'm really excited to see him in an action film again. It's been a little while. He's done some more of the serious drama stuff, which is also great. But I like the 90s action movies that he used to do.
Right.
Independence Day and Bad Boys.
My favorite was Wild Wild West.
Sure. He's not the problem with that movie, and you know it.
The best steampunk movie is The Giant Spider of all time.
It probably is.
Maybe the only one,
but anyway, so that's probably enough for Deadshot there. I think he's a cool character.
Well, he looks like he's recruited to be the semi-leader, the second in command.
Well, because he has military experience,
right.
So he knows how to run a mission.
Mm-hmm.
They don't necessarily trust him, but he does have the experience and the knowledge.
And the skills to take someone out.
Also, we'll say his costume is one of the more accurate costumes.
Yes.
It is.
That helmet looked really good.
Which of all the superhero movies, Marvel or DC, I would say, I don't really love that helmet. That was never my favorite costume of his.
Yeah.
But it is very accurate.
It is. I did think it was funny that, they do a super hyper accurate version of a costume and people are complaining about the helmet, and it's like, well, that's how they drew it So there's not much you can do about that, right? Because if they don't,
or they complain about the eyepiece on the wrong eye, I'm like,
well, it was mostly for me like he's wearing a white helmet, but he's supposed to be like a sniper, like trying to hide. And
it's
stuff.
funky. I'm sure there was some reason to it back in the day.
Well, he's also wearing bright red too. Assassins don't really wear bright red.
It's not really bright red. It's dark red.
It's still noticeable.
Sure.
It's a weird suit.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
the
cool
combination
looking.
is weird.
It was executed well.
Yes. He's like half like urban camo and half like Arctic camo.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Not half, like
not half, but
8%.
You never know when you're gonna have to do a sniper mission in the Arctic.
And then your red and black is gonna just be your downfall there, you know.
Now Pugbite says that they could see Will Smith be a true bad villain in a superhero.
He'd make a really good Black Mask.
He'd be an interesting villain. I think
he
would
could
play
be
an interesting villain. I'd rather see him as that.
Because I mean, his acting chops are really
stretch his chops. He is a villain.
Well, I mean,
he's an anti-hero.
Yeah,
he's an anti-hero. His best acting tends to be when he's doing something that's more dramatic. These big action roles don't really flex his acting chops as much.
And a villain would do that.
The villain would push it, and I really would love to see that.
I would too. I'd be pretty excited about that.
Well, I mean, isn't that why we're all pretty excited to see The Rock do Black Adam instead of...
Yeah.
Well, I think
I wanted him to be...
Shazam, but Black Adam will be... I think it'll be an interesting take on the character for sure.
Yeah. I'm excited to see The Rock be a bad guy, because the closest he's ever been to a bad guy was when he was...
Doom.
I forgot about Doom.
Yeah.
I've
never forgotten about Doom.
I was going to say The Fast and the Furious when he was on the opposite side.
Yeah,
but Doom...
But again, he was an anti-hero.
Right,
so I forgot about Doom. I didn't want to see that because it had that first-person scene. And it just seemed so gimmicky to me.
It was very gimmicky, yeah. I saw it like opening weekend and I regret it.
I remember when that came out though, yeah. Okay.
Anyways.
Anything else for Deadshot?
Nope.
Okay. Pugbite wants to know, Black Manta. That's an interesting idea.
He was on the Suicide Squad.
But to have Will Smith play Black Manta.
Yeah, that would be good.
That would be really,
Good call,
especially if they do it kind of like in Young Justice.
Yeah.
That style of character would be really fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'd be into that.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right, so next up we have Harley Quinn, which is probably the character most people are excited about.
Let me take the reins on this.
You got it?
That's my girl.
All right.
So Harley Quinn, are we talking about when she was introduced in the Suicide Squad, or how do you want to chop this up?
She's relatively new in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, she was in the
Squad.
2014 reboot of the New 52.
It actually was
2013. When was it?
It was 2014. It was a restart during the New 52.
Yes.
I guess the 2011 one didn't go so well. I don't have numbers, but yeah. So she showed up in 2014. So she's only been in the Suicide Squad for like a year and a half.
Yes. And boy, did they change her. Boy, did they change her.
My only issue with that is her two current costumes, Suicide Squad and the Harley Quinn book.
Her solo series.
Yeah. Like she has completely different backstories.
Right?
And, like,
they're not.
The continuity in the DC comic books prior to Rebirth was a little confusing.
I feel like they just all decided, well, F it, we're gonna write what we want.
I liked...
Write for the better story instead of the bigger story, I guess.
In the solo series, I really liked that they had kind of continued her story post-Joker, and she broke away from that and was really coming into her own, and I really liked that they didn't shy away from her past, but allowed her to move from it at the same time. Do you want to talk about like the origins of the character? Because she has kind of a unique origin.
Right, so...
It looks like we're going to get to see that.
The origin that I know that they didn't really change, that's still based off of it, was from the 1992 Batman animated series where she was the Joker's psychiatrist in Arkham, and he twisted her mind, manipulated her, and forced her, not really forced her, but made her think that she needed him and to fall in love with him, and took on the moniker of Harley Quinn from Harleen Quinzel, and they just caused chaos after that.
So yeah, so she's not from the comic book. She's from a cartoon originally.
Yes.
Which is kind of cool.
And she was originally going to be in just one episode, just a one shot, but the directors loved the voice actor for her. They loved her look. And she got positive reviews from critics that she eventually was in a few more episodes and then got her own solo episodes and then was in basically everything with the Joker after 1995.
She ended up in the comic books.
Yep.
Her first appearance is very, very expensive for a 90s comic book.
It is.
Considering the 90s was when almost everyone went bankrupt.
Yeah, the 90s were not a good era for comic books unless you were Harley. Or Batgirl.
Yeah, Batgirl did really well then, too.
So a couple female characters did really well. Everybody else
Death
bombed.
of Superman was pretty popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what they had to do.
They had to,
And the Wedding of Spider-Man. Like, those were the four big
things. I always forget about that one.
All right, well.
That's because you don't like Marvel.
Anyway.
I don't dislike Marvel. I've never been a Spider-Man comic book reader.
Anyway, so Harley has gotten just...
She's got enormous popularity.
Yeah.
Like, she was always pretty popular with the hardcore Joker and Batman fans, but now she's taken to new heights completely. People don't even know who she was. Just look at her like, she's a cool character.
Yeah.
Whatever. She was a baseball bat and hit people.
I mean, that was before this movie even came out, because random Hot Topics and Amazons would sell the diamond print leggings, and all of a sudden you're a Harley Quinn fan.
Yeah.
So
Amanda Connor's comic book has really done great things for that character's popularity.
She is a very accessible character. She's very visual, so you take note of her right away. You're like, who's the jester?
She wears bright colors.
Her backstory is incredibly tragically poetic, just because she still has her lines. Like in the comics, she refuses to hit Black Canary anymore when she finds out she's pregnant, and
that's a really
the two
powerful...
of them become friends. Like she's friends with Power Girl, and she's friends with Wonder Woman, and she's friends with Black Canary, even though they're on opposite sides of the law, because she won't murder for certain reasons, and because she and Poison Ivy rescue little kids when they're being bullied, and so
and you know, her and Poison Ivy have a pretty special relationship in the newer comic books too. They do a lot of stuff together. It's really cool. It's a lot of fighting down the misogyny and some of that type of stuff in the comic book, which I really like.
Well, now all four major female villains in Batman are part of the LGBT community. Both Catwoman and Talia are bisexual, and
Ivy and Harley.
Poison Ivy is pansexual, and Harley is, I guess you could say bisexual too.
She's bisexual or pansexual, one of the two.
Yeah.
They never specifically say.
Because she also hooks up with Deadshot a lot. She hooks up with Ivy, you know. I'd say she's pansexual.
Yeah, I would too.
So Margot Robbie is playing Harley Quinn. She's relatively new to the acting world, but she's done like nothing but major hits.
Yeah. In the last like 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, Wolf of Wall Street was huge.
Yeah.
Very good.
And she did Focus, which was also with Will Smith, so I don't know if that played into their casting together or not for this.
I think it did, because I saw that movie, and
I did too.
They were very compatible on screen in that movie. So I don't know if they're going to have the same kind of love relationship in this. Because she is a, Deadshot is one of her people that she hooks up with, so I don't know if they're going to do that in this one or not, but...
Well, Will Smith did an interview saying that they are definite allies.
Right.
So
that's good to know.
Maybe something, yeah.
That will be fun to see their banter back and forth, because those two actors and the two characters lend themselves well to that dialogue. And anybody who knows some of my favorite movies, dialogue is very, very important to me. So I'm looking forward to that.
Now, her particular costume has gotten the most hate out of everybody. I would say
I can
her
see why.
and Killer Croc.
Killer Croc, yeah.
I can see why her costume has gotten hate. Because she wears a few things that seem to make her seem submissive to men, where it says Daddy's Little Monster on her shirt.
And Property of Joker.
Property of Joker on the back of her jacket. And she also has bands that no one has really seen a good picture of. It says Yes and Sir. So, and she has a tattoo that says Rotten right here, and she has all these things that normal fans who have grown up with the original Harley do not associate with. Like, I don't associate Harley Quinn with a tattoo on her pelvis that says Lucky You.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, here's how I am interpreting it. What they're given was the clothes they were arrested in.
Right.
So, depending on how long they've each been in jail, she could have had a huge character change, or she could be working towards it. Or my thought is that they're they really don't want Harley Quinn on the team. They're using her to get to Joker.
I mean, that's a big possibility.
Yeah.
The easiest way to define the change in her character between like the 90s animated series one is they've kind of taken the abusive relationship that she had with the Joker,
which was very apparent in the 90s.
Oh
too.
yeah,
and it wasn't the comic
like for
books
90s.
too.
It was on TV and you're like, wow, they showed that in the kids cartoon.
It was pretty bad. In the Solo series, early on in it, they make a point to explain how bad that relationship was and why she left town and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we haven't seen the movie yet, but it seems almost like they've transformed that into more of like a BDSM fetish kind of concept instead. And I don't know if that's where they're going with it. I don't know if that's a good idea.
Well, there's still, I don't want to say there's still abuse in the film, but there's a scene where people are recording, they see Harley and her doctors, or not her doctor's office, but before she becomes the Harley Quinn that we see in the trailers, Joker just backhands her.
Ooh.
I guess I missed that in the trailer.
Backhand, not in the trailer, it's someone filmed it on location.
Oh.
And it's before...
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so I haven't seen that.
She's in like a blue kind of denim outfit, and he just complete backhand her with a gun.
Okay. Well, I was hoping that they weren't going to ignore those types of things.
Oh, no, they're not.
It helps make the Joker a villain, and
Yes.
it helps show that Harley's not just a bad guy.
She's a victim in his one of his jokes.
It also separates Jared Leto as far from Heath Ledger as human-like possible, because that's something we haven't seen. We haven't seen him interact with a female, an ally.
Yeah.
Yeah, barely any females. I mean, really, in The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger's or with Jack Nicholson's and the 89 Batman, there's really very little interaction with women.
Vicky Vale.
And the small scene with Rachel.
But that's it.
I mean, the whole first movie is about him trying to get with Vicky Vale, so, I mean, there's...
Yeah, but he's not abusive to her.
That's true, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, he's kind of like...
He scares her.
Yeah,
that's because he's nuts. He doesn't, like,
maybe
hit her or anything like that.
That's true, yeah.
Like, he's just
physically abusive.
You know what I mean? He's crazy, but I don't feel like he's treating her intentionally bad.
And he clearly gives her electroshock, like, in the trailer.
It's her.
Yeah, you can see
I assume it is.
Oh, no, you see it's the long blonde hair, it's the glasses, it's her. You can see it's her, and he just... And that's what people are thinking that makes her go crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it is.
Which, I mean...
The way they frame a lot of that will be what's really important.
Yeah, I agree.
So we should probably move on.
Okay. Oh, wait. Do we know what the Squad is supposed to be doing in the movie?
No.
Stopping the Joker is what you assume.
I'm assuming it's stopping Enchantress, because you see all these creature people...
Nope.
No?
No.
I think it's something that has to do with her, or else why would she be in the movie?
I mean, she may be a bad person in the movie and not be a part of the Squad, obviously, but...
You've been doped, Ian.
I think because you see...
It's definitely around Joker.
In the trailer, though, you see Katana just taking out someone's... And they turn to dust, almost.
Well, the power of the sword.
Her sword has special abilities.
But the person also has, like, a bunch of ridges and, like, eyeballs in the back of their head, so...
Well, I mean,
That's
you also have Killer Croc, so, I mean, there's some meta-human stuff going on in the movie. I kind of think that maybe the Joker is secondary, where that wasn't their initial goal, and then they find him, which is why they kind of have that cutscene in the trailer.
That's kind of what Joker is altogether. Nobody intends to go after him in any of these movies, and he shows up and derails all the plans and just really ruins it for everyone.
See, no one ever expects the Joker.
Well, I think Enchantress...
He's the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, I think she's the main villain because you see her in, like, the White House briefing room or whatever, and she's by some guy, and I assume she's trying to either take over the world or do something.
It was explained to me that Enchantress was completely off the radar until the Squad bumps into him, and then Amanda Waller's like, yep, you're coming with us, kind of thing. So I thought she was more of a side note that they're using a setup for the next one. Because Enchantress does do some really intense things. She's the main bad guy in Justice League Dark, the first, 20 issues of it. She, her background's cool. The character June Moon is at a soiree, and she bumps into this chest, and it says to say the words, the Enchantress, and then she just gets possessed by this demon. And
so they're doing it differently than this movie.
Typical Friday night.
It's, well, I I think what I read was she goes into like a cave and gets possessed by something. There might be a chest in there, but different circumstances. But she still gets possessed, obviously.
Yeah. And she's still June Moon.
Yes.
Well, let's hope she's just a setup for a Justice League Dark movie.
Well, they're supposedly doing the animated one.
I know.
Now, with the DCEU the way it is, maybe they'll do some crossover where the same actors will voice characters and things like that. That would be very cool.
That'd be interesting.
And it's not unheard of for them to do an animated series that turns out to be popular and then them do it in live action. Suicide Squad was an animated first.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, with the CW doing the Flashpoint and those types of things. But what's cool is, Stephen Amell and Grant Gustin, they have voiced on the CW Seed for the Vixen animated show. So DC's done that before where they'll leverage actors in both worlds. All right, so you guys want to keep going down the list?
Sure.
Well, we can go through Boomerang and El Diablo really fast.
So Captain Boomerang's been around in the Suicide Squad forever.
Since the beginning.
Yeah, I really only know him from Arrow and Flash, those crossovers that they had him on. But
he's one of the few who was there at the beginning.
He sounds like kind of a joke. He throws sharpened boomerangs or whatever. It's like,
he has really good accuracy with them. So
he's not going by the captain in the movie, and
he's just Boomerang.
Diablo is just Diablo. There's no El Diablo.
Diablo, I wasn't actually, I don't know anything about him.
I don't know
either. This newest trailer where Harley's, handing out the drinks.
Yeah.
It gives him a little bit of character. You can see a little bit of his character, and I thought that he seemed way more interesting to me in that trailer than a lot of the other, Harley and a lot of the other characters.
I'm very curious about it. I like when, Will Smith's trying to, pump him up and give you...
Yeah, exactly.
So,
he's trying to not, be more of a pacifist, and so that's interesting to me.
Maybe he can't control his power. He doesn't like his power.
He's scared of it.
Yeah, scared of it. Exactly. Yeah. So that was cool. That I'm very interested.
Yeah, I'm interested in him a lot. So.
And Boomerang just seems like an Australian drunk.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what he is.
Yeah, basically.
David Ayer told Jai Courtney, really just be the biggest sleazy dirtbag you can be, and you'll nail this character. Which to me seems like he has spot on, which is better than the Arrow one. Yeah. And I mean, that guy barely had any characterization. So
yeah, that's true.
He wasn't really given the chance to, which is unlike the Arrow Flash world.
That's true.
All right, so that brings us then to Killer Croc.
Who has never been on the team before, and I maintain it's because they couldn't do Killer Shark. Or King Shark.
Except they did it on Flash.
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, I totally buy that. That's simple.
I absolutely buy that.
And they're going off of... The reason why he looks like that is because they're basing it off of the Brian Azzarello Joker comic, where he was a big, tall, black man affected...
That was a good comic. I like
it. It was affected by the reptilian...
disease of some kind.
Skin disease.
Yeah.
So that's why he's not with the big old crocodile head and tail.
I see him kind of mixed with the Arkham series and the comic series that you just mentioned. Yeah.
There were actually rumors when they first released the whole shot of all the Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. There were rumors. People didn't know what the squad was at that point, who the roster was, and so they thought he was King Shark, even despite the fact he was scaled.
Yeah.
That was one of the rumors.
I had no idea who he was supposed to be originally, because I'm used to seeing the comic books I've read with Killer Croc has always been him with the giant crocodile head. Tail and stuff.
Yeah, so everybody knows him from the Batman comic books and the Arkham games when you see him, and he looks like a giant crocodile.
I think he looks cool in this movie. I like that they're using practical makeup effects and it's not CGI.
I agree.
That's a full latex application.
I agree. Yeah, and it probably gives the actor more room to grow and do stuff.
It gives all the actors more room because then they're actually interacting with somebody that looks
not
screwed up. Yeah, exactly.
We're not shy about how much we prefer practical effects.
Yes.
So. Really good mocap is hard to beat. It really is. But bad mocap is just hard to forget.
Yep. Fair enough. And actually, I'm noticing I made a mistake earlier when we were talking about Harley because of King Shark here. Harley and King Shark were both in the 2011 reboot for the New 52.
That was it.
Suicide Squad. So Harley was in the last two versions of Suicide Squad, not just the last one. But King Shark was in the 2011 introduction in the New 52.
And he got blown up, I think so.
I didn't actually read that one.
Or he got eaten, one of the two.
Yeah. King Shark got eaten.
But I think he's sacrificed.
That's ironic.
Do you guys think Killer Shark or Killer Croc is going to have the want to eat human flesh?
He has the sharp pointy teeth, and you see bones in his jail cell, so I'm assuming so.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's kind of an important character trait, I feel
like. I mean, he eats flesh of some kind.
He doesn't have human flesh, right?
Well, in some of the
Just
comics,
meat,
they refer
technically,
to it as he only eats human flesh. So
yeah,
Because
that never
disease
made
or whatever.
sense to me because crocs eat mostly
Anything.
other animals. So I have no problem with it just being meat in general.
Right.
Yeah.
If it tastes bad, a human would be cool, but
So,
I doubt
yeah.
they'll.
All right, so that brings us into Enchantress. We talked about her.
Yeah, so
a
we
little
can
bit.
skip that. Go to Katana.
So this is kind of cool. She's never been in the Suicide Squad, and this actress has never been in anything.
Right.
So this is a brand new character, brand new actor.
Rumor has it that she's actually Rick Flag's bodyguard, and she doesn't have the chip in her head. She's doing this all voluntary, so maybe she's getting a huge pay cut.
And that begs the question is why Rick Flag needs a bodyguard.
Well, I would
he's a
assume-
military guy.
I should for everyone else.
Yeah, I would assume
Because-
From the
that
other people in the
Deadshot could most likely kill Rick Flag before he was...
Most
yeah.
of these characters
Well,
probably could.
Yeah.
So the idea is he's supposed to lead the squad. He can't watch his own back the whole
And
time.
so
You
he's
would
the one
think
who's holding
they'd
the button to blow him up.
You would think that they would have some sort of backup, like if they killed him, then boom, they all get blown up or something. You know?
Yeah.
Well, I assume that would work too.
Yeah, they've already done that.
I think that probably goes back to Amanda Waller, and I'm sure there's probably some random soldiers who are around too to be the red shirts of the party.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it would be cool if she was his actual bodyguard, and maybe they don't know it.
It would be an
And
interesting
someone
part.
goes to threaten him, and she steps in or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, you see her.
She looks scary.
Oh,
Like,
she looks
Boomerang
awesome.
football.
Yeah. I think she looks
I
fantastic.
think she's probably, in my opinion, the best looking character in the in the squad.
She looks
She's
very-
the coolest one.
yeah.
She's the best translated to
Well,
real life, practical.
If people want to harp on Harley being over-sexualized, they cannot forget about Katana and Enchantress. Katana wears way more clothing and armor in the comics. Enchantress wears head-to-toe robes and corsets, and Enchantress is practically naked.
In mud.
Even Katana's still wearing the most amount of clothing, but even her midriff is bare, and that's very different from
Right.
Katana.
It's definitely like
So
a short jacket she wears.
it's not like they are just singling out one person. It's because Harley's in bright red and blue and stands
And because
out.
it's such a departure from her original appearance.
Well, and it is
That's
Margot
why.
Robbie. She's one of the main
Mhm.
names in the movie, so
Yeah.
she's getting more attention anyway.
Yeah.
There's merchandise of Harley everywhere,
Oh yeah, there's more merchandise of Harley than I think of any other character in that film.
Yeah.
except maybe Batman.
Well, main character in that film.
Main
I would say.
character.
Batman did not get as much Suicide Squad merchandise
Oh,
as...
not Suicide.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh,
Suicide
I'm sorry. I
Squad.
thought you meant just in general.
No, that's what I mean. Suicide
Sorry,
Squad. No,
sorry.
yeah.
Then in that case, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
she's got so many different
Joker
pop
variations
vinyls,
and-
medals.
Joker has quite a bit of stuff out
He
there,
does.
too.
He does. I
He's
think
got just as many pop vinyls.
those two, I think, are going to be one of the focuses that's really hits home in this movie
Well,
too.
Harley is supposed to get her own spin-off movie. They're
Mhm.
already
Yeah.
talking about that. And I'm pretty sure that's what Suicide Squad was supposed to do, is to see who can lead their own film and go which way.
I mean, Will Smith wants to he wants to be the villain in one of Ben Affleck's
Which
solo
would be
Batman
great. I'd be
films.
pretty excited about
Yeah.
that.
How cool would that be?
That'd be very cool.
Right? I mean, fantastic.
I mean,
Yeah.
if they're not going to make a Green Arrow movie, then they might as
true.
well put him in Batman.
Yeah, I think it'd be
Well,
so cool.
Deadshot's been a, Batman villain as well
Oh,
as
yeah.
Green Arrow and everybody
Absolutely.
else. Villain, so it'd be
Definitely.
perfect.
But to have
Although I'd probably rather have Deathstroke, to be honest. I think Deadshot is probably a little more interesting character, but Deathstroke would be pretty cool too.
It
I
would
think
be.
that the complication there is you've already got a character who's going to be solidified and cast in
That's true.
Suicide Squad, and they'd have
Right.
to start all
It
over.
would be an easier
It wouldn't
crossover.
necessarily be bad, right? I mean,
Right.
depending on who they cast for that, it could be even better. But it's a little bit easier to just go with the Deadshot route, I would
That's
think.
true, and he's a lot more. You can sympathize with him again. He's not
Yeah.
like just an out-and-out villain, so
Right.
it's
Whereas Deathstroke, at least in the
There's no sympathy
CW,
for him.
he gets so ridiculous
Yeah.
that any sympathy you might have had for him is gone
Yeah.
by the end of that,
because of Shadow.
because of Shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so why don't we talk about the Joker a little bit, because
Yeah.
there's so many versions of him, and it's almost like they're trying to use like 4 or 5 different incarnations of
and
the
just
Joker
mold them together.
in one
But
movie.
David Ayer says that it's somewhere based on a canon story. So
Parts of it look like they have to be.
Hot Topic
there's-
Juggalo Joker is based off of some factual thing here.
It's sad but true.
Probably something in the early 2000s, I would assume.
Well, some of those scenes,
during
though,
Red and Blue Superman.
Well,
Yeah.
how he looks right now is a lot what he looks like in the new comics with the short, green hair, minus the tattoos.
Well, that's also what he looks like in The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, in the New 52 version, he has no tattoos whatsoever.
No.
He doesn't wear like weird suits and flashy cars and
I don't know how I like this Joker yet.
That Joker cut his own face off and stapled it back on.
That would be so cool. I would love to see that.
The thing about the tattoos, and I'm just going to say this, is he's supposed to be consumed in his anonymity and his lies, and he doesn't even know who he is anymore. Well, tattoos fixes that right up. Once you have a tattoo, that's a permanent mark. Police look for it. Coroners look for it.
That bothered me quite a bit.
It's a very identifying thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
A lot of criminals refuse to be tattooed so that if they get out and want to commit crimes again.
That was one of my first issues with the character. When you look at the one in The Dark Knight, right? When they capture him and they're trying to like ID him and they can't nothing.
No plans, nothing.
Not even lint in his pocket.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's actually a line in the movie. They have no idea who this guy is, and that's very accurate to the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The whole point of Batman never being able to figure out the mystery is
because he's the world's greatest detective. That's a big
Well, not Christian Bale.
No.
Christian Bale is
the world's most average detective.
Morgan Freeman is the
Christian Bale is the world's best Batman at push-ups.
That's true.
That's even arguable, really. I would say.
Anyway,
we don't have
this Joker.
It's a very weird. Now look, Jared Leto's a fantastic actor.
Oh yeah, I agree.
But the thing is that I had reservations about Heath Ledger until the very first teaser
came out.
Not the picture, the very first teaser, the one that just had the bat symbol with the voiceover, and you heard him speak the first time.
Yes.
And that's when I was like, all right, well that's gonna be awesome. That's all it took for me. For this, with all the trailers and everything, I'm still not sold yet.
To be fair though, if you had just heard his voice in a teaser for the first time, you probably would have been like, okay, this is awesome. Because his voice does not sound bad.
But they didn't. They revealed his full outfit first.
In a very anticlimactic, strange
way.
way.
And the purple background too, so it was very bright and it was an assault on the senses.
And everybody thought it was fake.
Yeah, we were all like,
everyone thought at first with the tattoos, everyone thought it was fake. No one thought that they would put damage on the Joker's
There are
forehead.
A lot of theories floating around right now, and if you don't want any possible spoilers, don't go to IMDb.
No,
don't look.
Right.
Don't look at any of that stuff.
Don't ever look at IMDb until
because
after
there's
you've
weird
seen
stuff.
the film.
I mean, there's theories that this isn't even the Joker. There's theories that this is someone else from Batman's
Jason
past.
Todd, yeah.
I mean, I went on IMDb to get some of the casting information and stuff like that, to get some of these actors' names, because some of them are a little less known to me. And there's some weird names in that cast. So,
but there's certain parts that I do like about this Joker. Like, for example, people hate it, but I like his silver teeth.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense. If Batman has brass knuckles, he's going to knock some teeth out. Are you going to have
fake teeth?
Yeah.
That's an interesting point. I guess I didn't really think about that.
It makes sense. That's practical.
Yeah,
now,
beat the crud out of him several times.
Yes.
It's a good point.
Now, and he walks with a cane, apparently. Don't know why.
I think that might be for show.
Yeah.
Like the Riddler has a cane.
Because I'm pretty sure didn't he have a cane in the '89 movie too?
Yeah.
And the Riddler does it, spins it and stuff. It's like a villain thing to have a cane, or an umbrella or something.
But he does. He looks very. He
looks psychotic. There's a few shots that are straight out of comic book cells.
Yes.
Yeah.
What he's wearing, what he's doing, straight out of comic books. So I'm hoping that maybe this is a new incarnation that gives us something different about the character, because he's been done so many times. Even in DC's Rebirth, they've admitted there are 3 different Jokers, completely different people. And now they have to explain themselves. So if there's a fourth one, there's a fourth one, right? You're going to have to explain that some way.
Well, the thing is, you showed me that panel, and it did look like he resembled one of the 3.
That was,
yeah.
That's what I was talking about.
So it's very
interesting.
interesting.
No. That's definitely not an accident.
Well, especially given that issue was still Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder.
I'm happy that they're continuing with the theme that the Joker is a very put together, dapper looking man who has that great smile and charm when he speaks, but he immediately terrifies you. So at least that essential essence of the look and the voice, and at least that's there. If nothing else, can't be worse than Cesar Romero refusing to shave.
Well, and there's a reason why they chose Jared Leto to play the Joker. there has to, because Jared Leto, like you said, is a great actor.
He is a great actor.
And there's something that he can bring to this. And we've all heard the reports of, him being, on their downtime on set, that he would do these creepy things
Because
with
he's
the
a
cast
method
members.
It makes me a little nervous, though, for his own personal sake, because Heath Ledger did similar stuff.
No, Heath Ledger locked himself in a hotel room.
I know.
And isolated himself from the world. Jared Leto is being known. He's interacting with everyone.
Yeah, and that might be better.
Yeah.
But he still sent his castmates dead animals.
That's true. Viola Davis said that, he legitimately scared her.
To the point where she wanted to mace him if he came near her.
She thought about quitting the project.
Yeah.
Will Smith claims that he has still never actually met Jared Leto.
Yeah, I do remember that quote. That was pretty funny. And might be accurate.
Yeah.
So that worries me a bit, because if you let yourself get lost in that character, you may not get back.
Yeah,
right. I think that's kind of overblown. Like the whole, obviously there was some drug issues with Heath Ledger.
Of course.
Yes. And the rumor about Jack Nicholson going to him, don't let the darkness take you. That's all fake.
Yeah.
I feel like people are overblowing it. He's an actor. He's doing this for a living. He knows how to separate himself from the character, and he is a method actor. But he's not going to turn into the Joker or...
I've seen Jared Leto interviews recently, and he talks, about it, and he said that he can switch the character on and off.
That's what an actor does.
That's what you're supposed to be able to do.
Some can't. Daniel Day-Lewis has gone crazy 8 times.
Look, Christian Bale used the John Connor character as an excuse for his big blow-up at the lighting guy.
Right, yeah.
That he was in character and couldn't control it, right? Now, whether you believe that or not, I guess... depends on our experiences, right? We're not method actors, any of us, so what do we know? We do know that one of 4 guys who've ever played the Joker live, it didn't end well for him.
Died of a drug overdose.
Yeah.
But the stuff that we've read about how he handled the character and how he fell into that, locking himself away, and the things that he wrote in the diary.
When your best friend is an Olsen twin, you should probably just not...
None of us knew him. He may have had mental issues ahead of time.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm
There's
just
been
saying.
100,000 actors that have played a dark character and have not, locked themselves in a room and killed themselves with a drug overdose.
You didn't have to Howard Hughes this.
You're absolutely right. However, I don't recall any of those actors doing the types of things we have been told Jared Leto has done on set during filming.
Well,
that is
he's trying to get his characters or his coworkers in the same mindset.
And that may be true, and that's great if that's the case. I'm just saying, I hope that's all it is.
I hope it translates well to film too.
So we have roughly 8 minutes before we're all done, and let's kind of talk about what this is going to do to connect.
Okay.
To the rest of the...
Batman connects.
Obviously.
Batman's in it. We've seen that.
So in BVS, there's the Robin suit sitting in the Batcave.
Mm-hmm.
There's it's spray painted on and all of that. Obvious references to the Joker.
Clowns and freak shows.
There's a lot of that. So
where do you guys think this takes place time-wise?
I think it takes place after Man of Steel.
But before BVS.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Because there is a reference to Superman in it, so it has to be.
They know who he is. Yeah. I think that's a great timeline for it to take place in. Part of me, though, is wondering if maybe it's after. Maybe it's after BVS.
Well, the Harley and the Joker flashbacks make me think
There's
that
a bunch of
it's
flashbacks
going
in this
on
too.
between before, during, after.
So I guess it depends.
And the timeline may be wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, but
well, Barry did go save his mother.
He did.
That's a different universe.
Okay.
That's one of the other Earths.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if the Flashpoint affects all of the Earths or just that one Earth. They've never combined the multiverse with Flashpoint.
I don't think. I think some hardcore fan will figure out the timeline.
But it's also rumored that Lex Luthor makes an appearance in this as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
In his cell.
Well, if you watch the ultimate cut of BVS,
he gets transferred to Arkham.
Yeah, there's a scene where Batman mentions he's having him transferred to Arkham.
Yeah.
Which, that makes sense.
With his behavior at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Such a little thing that would have made a big difference.
Exactly. It all came down to time. The movie theaters hate when movies run over 2.5 hours because that's
very true.
That many fewer show times they can have each day.
Mm-hmm. That's
shorter films mean more money for the theater because they charge the same for each ticket regardless of the runtime. So the more times you can show a movie in a day, the more money.
Yep.
So we can just go around. What are you looking most forward to?
Split. Okay. Whoa. Let's slow it down. We didn't even talk about the anniversary of Joker here.
By the way, he's 50 years old.
This is the 50th anniversary.
Now moving on.
It's the 50th anniversary of the live-action debut of the Joker. It's kind of cool.
It's 75 years of Captain America and Wonder Woman. So, a lot of cool stuff this year.
Yeah. Just had to bring Marvel in.
I mean, we didn't bring the 75th anniversary up when we talked about BVS, so.
No,
but we bring, apparently Joker's more important, so.
Because it wasn't the 75th anniversary.
What are you looking forward to?
I think I'm looking forward to seeing how they handle Katana. I think, like I said, the way she looks and like the chopping with the soul sucking and the eye thing.
And what are you most apprehensive about?
I'm not very excited about Harley Quinn.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm most excited about the relationship between Deadshot and Harley Quinn. And
Okay.
I'm the most anxious about the Joker.
What was the question?
Most excited
Thank you.
about?
Harley, because it's
Your
the first
boo?
time seeing her.
On the
You're my
big
boo.
screen. Oh.
For the first time seeing her on the big screen and how they're going to handle that.
And most apprehensive?
Seeing Harley on the big screen. it's
I didn't expect us to agree on that.
And what about you?
So I think I'm most excited for the big risk that DC's taking here by putting a bunch of nobodies on the screen and watching it, because it's impressive to me when they make a big gamble. I am most apprehensive, and this is seriously just to show you how little investment I have in this film, because I'm going to enjoy it no matter what. It's not going to offend me. I'm most apprehensive about the soundtrack, because Panic at the Disco apparently covered Bohemian Rhapsody. So
It's a weird soundtrack.
I hope.
Yeah, listen to that.
No,
The soundtrack looks odd. There's a lot of strange.
Has it been released?
The list has, not the actual album.
They are releasing certain songs. Heathens by 21 Pilots has been released.
Mhm.
The Skrillex song has been released, and there's a rap song that was.
And also,
the actual album is not out.
to be said, this particular film is having a huge presence at San Diego this year.
Yes.
It like
Well,
they're
because
building
Marvel toned down their presence.
that, but they're
DC
having
saw
it
the
is
opportunity.
literally they're building like a huge like jail cell thing. They're having a tattoo parlor rented out that you can get Suicide Squad tattoos.
That's incredible.
It's huge.
I'd be
So-
nervous to get one before I saw the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I have a
Right.
Spider-Man 3 poster lying around. What does that tell you?
It's not tattoo. I thought you were saying you had a tattoo.
I have the poster
I have an
tattooed
ego
on my
dancing
back.
on my arm right here.
But I'm not gonna lie, I've had tattoo ideas based on movies with really cool tattoos that I've thought about. I haven't gotten any, but for a while, even though the movie was bad, I thought the tattoos were cool. I wanted the Omega symbol from the X-Men 3.
There you go.
Yeah.
I wanted it, and I would say mutant and proud. So if this movie is awesome, I would consider getting one of those little skulls on me somewhere.
Or get Squad.
So
somewhere.
real quick, Dogstorp
No,
is
we're
just
not
now
doing that.
realizing.
Squad.
Dogstorp just now realized that Rick Flag is the remake RoboCop.
Yes.
Yes.
He
Joel-
replaced
Yes.
Peter Weller.
Joel Kinnaman is that
That
guy.
is true. That is true.
Thanks
those
for
of you who
joining
didn't
us,
see that one.
Dogstorp.
So yeah.
Always good to have you.
All right. So the movie comes out August 5th,
Mhm.
2016, PG-13, so everybody can go and see it.
Bring the
I'm
kids.
dressing up. I'm gonna be Katana.
I'm gonna be Harley.
All right.
With my booty showing.
So it should be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Boomerang. He won't.
I don't want to be
Oh, two
Boomerang.
Boomer.
That's like the
I
worst.
don't want to be Boomerang. If I was going to be anybody, it would be Deadshot. And
Yeah.
I don't have time to put that together.
Be
So
Amanda Waller.
I'm good. So anyway, that's us. That's Suicide Squad. If you have any questions about it, let us know. We'll do our best to answer those questions for you. Be careful going to Wikipedia and IMDb. There are some spoiler-ish things that have been posted out there. And
For
some
the record, all the
inconsistencies.
Wikipedia stuff as of today was everything that we've mentioned. We've talked about. There's nothing else on there right now. That could change it in an instant.
There's just some inconsistency issues.
Oh, Ivy.
Between our Ivy pop vinyl fell over. Anyway, so that's it for us. We have the podcast on a new subscription site called FeedBurner, which is powered by Google. So please check that out. We've got the link in the show notes. Subscribe on there. It helps us know who's listening, and if you're listening, we appreciate it. If you do listen on iTunes, please subscribe on iTunes and leave us a review. We'll be sure to mention that you reviewed us on the podcast, so please do that.
Yep.
You can catch us at griddaily.com and screen-heroes.com will take you straight to the iTunes link. You can follow us at Grid Daily on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. and Twitch here. We stream this live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central. So you can watch us. There are people watching us on chat. That's who we've been talking about. So you can talk to us live as we're recording it. You can watch it later on YouTube, or you can listen to it. How can people get a hold of you guys?
So you can find me at Super Sirens. I am Ray, half of the Super Sirens. I'm on the Instagram, the Facebook, the Twitter. And Panic at the Disco, may you burn in a fire.
Wow, that's harsh.
You haven't even heard it yet, but I agree.
Continuing around the...
Nobody covers that song.
It can't be any worse than the Ghostbusters.
Ooh. For another time.
Yes, my name's Ian. Hi, I'm House of Turner Cosplay.
Because you're fancy.
H-A-U-S. Yes.
That's really how you can get in touch with me. Go like my page.
And
Buster Props, Facebook and Instagram and Tweeters and all those fancy social media sites.
That's right, Buster Props. And I'm the Star Trek Dude. You can check me out there on Twitter and Facebook and the website, thestartrekdude.com.